We have Arjun Erigaisi on the screen here taking on Domaraju Gukesh, the world champion. Arjun Erigaisi in his meditative pose. The battle between these two youngsters is always very intense because both of them love uncompromising chess. In fact, they played against each other a death match in Hyderabad where you had different formats of play and it was won by Arjun. There you can see a handshake by these two players. They're actually good friends of each other. They've been part of the Indian Olympiad team that won the gold medal, and when there are no tournaments you can see them hanging out, chilling and so on. But during the event both of them are very different. For example, Arjun has this very calm, relaxed approach. You can see him going to the confession box often. You can see him doing the interviews and all of it. Meanwhile, Gukesh is this ball of intensity. He's always kind of a lone person. He likes to be in his own space. He likes to have his own preparation, no distractions, no interviews, unless, of course, they are very mandatory by the contract that he has signed. So, more than anything else, this is a clash of personalities. When it comes to over-the-board play, I would definitely say that Arjun is much more combative than Gukesh. But in terms of, let's say, aggression, they both are pretty aggressive in that way. So, I'm actually very curious to see how this game pans out. As you can see, Gukesh lines up all his pawns in a beautiful single row. And the time control, 2 hours plus 10 seconds increment after 40th move. That's the full time control there. A handshake and we are ready to rock and roll now. Arjun makes the first move, pawn to d4. And Gukesh, as always, we've been saying about it, he will draw upon his world championship prep. Also, some other prep around it. Gayevsky, who is his second and trainer right now, is here with him in this tournament. Meanwhile, Arjun seems to have come alone to the event. e6 played, knight comes out to c3, and Arjun now will face the Nimzo Indian defense. Now, Arjun's favorite line against Nimzo Indian is f3. Will he go for it? Not really. g3, and it makes so much sense to deviate from what you've been playing, because then your opponent will not have come prepared for it. You can see Gukesh already pausing, Arjun getting up. Gukesh castles quickly. He takes 3 minutes on the clock for that move, and now Arjun comes back. And plays his bishop to g2. This line has become quite popular. By the way, Garry Kasparov used to play it with white, but recent times it became popular when in 2022 Hans Niemann actually beat Magnus Carlsen in the same line with the black pieces. Now a3 played, questioning the bishop. Bishop takes knight has happened, and Arjun takes, pawn takes here. And we are following this game of Carlsen versus Niemann. Gukesh thinks for almost 14 minutes here and takes the pawn. And now Arjun comes back, writes down his move, and instantly plays a4. This is the new move that Arjun has played in the game between Carlsen and Niemann. Knight f3, c5 had happened, but a4 is played against this move c5, so that bishop a3 comes, but Gukesh anyway goes c5. Wow, that's a very interesting decision by Gukesh, and his point is that if the bishop comes here, he's ready to give up his c5 pawn. There you see Arjun playing the bishop, because then he can keep his c4 pawn. Very interesting. And queen a5 played by Gukesh. He has 1 hour 19 minutes on the clock. Queen comes up to c2, and Gukesh can't take it right now because bishop b4, and then he'll pick up the rook here. So rook d8 makes a lot of sense. Now you are threatening to take on d4. Also, sometimes you are threatening to simply take rook takes d4. So Arjun quickly comes back. This time, even before writing the move, he takes the pawn on c5. And Gukesh now brings his knight to a6. A very interesting move by Gukesh. He controls the b4 and c5 square. Arjun goes bishop e7, attacking the rook and the knight. But now, rook takes d4. Gukesh wins a pawn here. But Arjun, who is at 1 hour 55 minutes, it's blitzing out his moves. And this is scary for Gukesh because he has already come down to 46 minutes. He's used 1 hour 14 minutes. And Arjun is playing at the speed of lightning here. Bishop takes f6. I wonder if Gukesh has ever faced something like this where he's gone down almost again prep. Oh my god, we are on move 15 and Arjun still blitzing out. Knight d2 attacking this pawn and Gukesh comes back queen c7 defending this pawn. 39 minutes for Gukesh and again blitzes out. Oh my goodness. The time gap is 1 hour 15 minutes. And now 1 hour 18 minutes, rook b8. And this is the first move that Arjun has started to think. He castles after a good thought of close to 15 minutes here. And he's a pawn down if you count the number of pawns. But black pieces are a bit clustered up here and not so well positioned. So now pawn to b5 played here by Gukesh. And Arjun has to see how can he get compensation. He takes en passant here. A takes b6. Pawn takes on b6. And Arjun may want to go knight to e4 now, attacking the pawn on f6. You can't push because there's a check and you will lose the rook. So king g7 looks like the only move, yes. And sometimes you have to be careful for sacrifices like knight takes pawn, king takes, queen takes h7 where the king is lonely outside. g4 played here by Arjun. He's going for the attack. Knight g3, knight h5. The knight comes in offering a trade. By no means should Arjun capture this because then Gukesh is completely fine. You know, there's a very nice rule that I'd read in Gelfand's book. When there are weaknesses around a king's position, if you don't have a knight, it's very difficult to exploit them. So keeping a knight keeps these weaknesses under check. There is a lot of possibility to create an attack. Queen e5 played here by Gukesh, centralizing his queen, coming closer to his king. Rook a d1, nice move here by Arjun. He's trading off this rook so that he can keep playing freely on the king side with f4 and stuff. b5 played here by Gukesh. He dreams someday to create a passer on the queen side. f4, nice move here by Ajubai. Queen e3 check. And king goes to h1. And now rook takes rook taken. You can take with the queen. You have to be just careful about queen takes c3. Oh, he takes it. Now look at this. If queen takes c3, knight h5 and queen d8 is a mate. So knight d7 blocks the d file and threatens queen takes c3. And Arjun plays bishop c6. Wow. Okay, this is getting intense. Now he wants to win a piece. Takes, takes and takes. Rook b6 played. What a move is this? What if you take here? I mean, take here. His idea is check. Oh my goodness, it's a mate here almost. Has to play rook f3. But rook b6 is a blunder. The blunder because not bishop d7. You can see Arjun taking his time, took 17 minutes and played this. And now a very important intermezzo, rook f3. Gukesh may have missed it. Finds it. Queen comes to c5. And the point is, if you take bishop d7 now, there's rook d6. He takes it. Gukesh goes rook d6. He's playing super quick. He's trying to gain back the time. And Arjun goes queen e1. Amazing. Gukesh may have seen this, but Arjun has seen a step further. Bishop b7. The point is, if you would have taken here, queen h4, and it becomes difficult to defend here. So bishop b7, e4 played here. Trying to block the bishop. Rook takes d7. And now, if queen h4, there is queen e7. But you take on f6 with the knight. Yes, good move there. And threatening queen h4. So rook d3 played. But can we simply not go queen h4, threatening a mate? Arjun finds it. It is a mate almost, because check, king g2, check, there is king h3. He goes king g7. And now a very important move here, f5 for Arjun. Can he find it? No, he plays rook d3. Pawn takes d3. We'll come back to this moment later where Arjun could have won with f5. He takes instead and now plays knight h5. King to g8 played. And queen comes in. Queen f8, almost a mate. And Arjun takes back the pawn. So now from being a pawn down, Arjun has moved to being a pawn up. And also Gukesh has only 2 minutes 47 seconds in hand. He plays f5. This is a nice move. Queen d7 played. Whoa! What is this move? He's attacked the bishop, but bishop takes e4. Isn't that hanging? Gukesh takes the pawn. King g1. Isn't queen c5 a check? Gukesh looks up at the screen. No, he goes bishop d5. Maybe because if queen c5 there was king f1, check, and king f2, and perhaps there will be no checks there. So bishop d5, he takes on f5, he gives a check. By the way, gf5, bad move here by Arjun. Queen c5, king f1. And Gukesh now down to 25 seconds. It's not like reaching move 40 is going to save you from time pressure. It's only going to give you 10 seconds per move. He goes check, king g2, and now you can trade queens. That's the beautiful part. So that there is no more mate, and Gukesh is back. He saved his position. Queen takes d5, check. Pawn takes, oof, almost there. Gukesh down to 22 seconds. If you look carefully, white is a pawn up, but there are good chances to hold this king f3, because if the king comes this way, then it is winning for white. So d4 is the only move, and Gukesh finds it. Intuitively makes the best move. b4 pushing the pawn, and Gukesh is doing really well now. King to e3 played. And you can see Gukesh has stopped writing his score sheet. I think there's a rule that if you are less than 5 minutes on the clock, you don't need to write the moves. King f7 played. Arjun still has 11 minutes on the clock. Gukesh is now drawing this in spite of being 2 pawns down, because the quality of his pawn on b file is amazing. Also, the white pawns are all very mangled up. But Arjun will of course try. Bishop a2 is a brilliant move, because you come out of these forks here and also threaten b3, b2, b1. But king e7, not the best move. And now Arjun can come king d2. Yes, he brings his king back. King comes to d6, but this is losing now. Knight e4 check. And the point is, after king d5, you have king e3. Gukesh feeling the confidence there. You can see the shift in his body language. Arjun looking super calm and composed. And he finds knight e4 check. King has to come up. King d5, attacking the knight and the pawn. But now king e3, yes. And pawn to b3. The pawn is going down towards queening. Knight c3 check is a very good move, with the idea of knight d1 stopping the pawn and then using your pieces to move ahead. But he goes f6. That's not a good move here by Arjun. King e6 is a draw. King e6 is a draw here. And you can see Arjun fully focused. Gukesh finds it. He's playing on his last 20 seconds since a long time. f5 check. Goes back king d7. Again finds the best move there, because clearly you couldn't take the pawn. Knight d6 check and you would have lost the bishop. So king d7 stopping here. The bishop is doing a beautiful job protecting the pawn. Also stopping opponent's pawns. b2. Another great move. King c2, bd3 check, and you lose the knight. So knight c3 has to be played. No, he goes knight c5 check. Wow. King e8 is the only move. He finds it again. King goes to c2. And very important to play bishop d5, stopping knight e4. He goes king f7. That's also fine. King takes b2. Now don't take the pawn here, because knight e4 is winning. There's a check coming up. And so here bishop d5 was the draw. Bishop f1 does not work because of knight e4. And the very important point, you can see there Gukesh feeling, because if you had put your bishop here, you would have won both these pawns eventually. Knight e4 check. Bishop g2, knight g3. King takes f6, taken here. Pawn to h4 played, and now you will see the knight defends here. The pawn control these squares. Bishop comes back, king comes up, and now he's simply bringing his king. There's no counterplay. This entire setup is what had to be prevented. King d3, and here is where Gukesh is completely busted. King d6 played. Knight jumps to e4. And this is lost now, because when you go back, king e3, king f4, look at Gukesh there. He has his head in his hand. This is losing. Arjun Erigaisi wins this battle between the two super Indian GMs. Well, look at Gukesh. He can't handle this one because this one was really tough. Arjun first put the pressure out of the opening, and you can see generally Arjun would love to talk to his opponent, but here he respects Gukesh's moment of sort of coming to grips with what has happened. Gukesh, of course, played a fine game with Magnus, but losing it under time pressure. But today's game was a little bit too intense. First getting out prepared in the opening, then being low on time, then fighting really hard, and then at some points having the draw in his hand, but then missing it and eventually losing, starting Norway Chess with 2 losses. We're going to have a look at the key moments of this game where things could have changed, and I can dive a little deeper to show you where all the players could have improved. But for now, I hope you enjoyed this encounter between Arjun Erigaisi and Gukesh. Arjun is the leader of the tournament with 4.5 points along with Hikaru Nakamura. We saw this moment in the game, but let's show it once more time because it was a critical one. Rook b6 by Gukesh was an oversight, and Arjun took perfect advantage of it with a check, king going back, and rook f3, and then taking here and playing queen e1 to queen h4. And the very important point here is that if you play rook d7 here, I have knight f6 and queen h4, which is very strong, but the way in which Gukesh played, he first pinned here, forced e4, takes, and now rook d3 was played. Queen h4, and we reach this very important moment where Arjun could have won by playing this move f5. And this is a beautiful move. It's very tricky to understand because if you take rook takes rook, knight h5 check, if king at 6, there is queen f6 mate. And if you go to the last rank, for example here, there is check and mate. So f5 actually, this rook is untouchable and it just finishes off the game with that move. But when he took here, then the game continued and we reached the next important moment where here Arjun could have taken queen b5 and was completely in the driver's seat. But instead, he took on f5 and this allowed Gukesh to get this drawing position, e takes d5. And came another critical moment in this endgame where he could have played, instead of king e7, bishop a2. The threat is b3, b2 and b1. So you go over here, king d3, b3, king c3, which stops the pawn. But in fact, now king f6. And suddenly, the main point being, you've gotten your bishop out from the very important square. I can take now, there's no knight d6 check, dropping the bishop here on c4. So bishop a2 would have been a very, very nice way to hold. And the final mistake which happened was here, again the same concept. Bishop d5 would have been perfect, stopping the knight from getting here. And there's just no way. If you go knight d7, I play bishop e4, I take this pawn and then I take this one. If you try to bring in your king, you are just losing both the pawns, and once you lose both, it is a draw. The move bishop f1 was a big mistake because now I saved the pawn, and Gukesh thought He'll still win both the pawns, but impossible, because now with knight being here and the pawns controlling this square, all three white pawns are safe, and this ended the game in Arjun's favor.